Hi, I'm Jake, 32, and last month my life blew up when my fiancée ran off with my sister 3 days before our wedding. So I gave her the wedding gift she'd never forget. And no, it wasn't a toaster. Let me back up. You ever meet someone who just takes? Like they breathe in what you have and breathe out chaos. That's my younger sister, Maya. She's the kind of woman who steals your sweater, your spotlight, and, eventually, your fiancé, with the same serene smile. Growing up, she made theft look like charm. When I was 16, she flirted with my prom date until he forgot my name. When I was 22, she told my college girlfriend I cheated, then consoled her all the way into a relationship. My parents? Oh, they love to enable. She doesn't mean it, Mom would say, while brushing Maya's perfect hair. She's just magnetic. Magnetic like a black hole. So when I met Clara, everything shifted. Clara was kind. Smart. Steady in ways Maya never could be. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and I remember thinking, thank God she hasn't met my family yet. She wore her heart like armor, soft but impenetrable. She taught me how to cook eggs properly. I taught her how to drive stick. When we moved in together, she brought throw pillows and a quiet sort of joy that made even my worst days manageable. Clara's the one who proposed, believe it or not. We were hiking, and she just turned to me at the summit and said, "Marry me, or I'm pushing you off." We laughed for an hour. I said yes before she could shove me. Everything was perfect. Until Maya got involved. It started small, showing up at our apartment uninvited, forgetting to knock, brushing her hand on my shoulder when Clara wasn't looking. The kinds of things that, if you pointed out, made you look crazy. Clara noticed, of course. She always notices. But she gave Maya the benefit of the doubt because that's just who she is. The week of the wedding, Clara went into overdrive. Between dress fittings, vendor calls, and trying to keep the peace between Maya and our mother, who believed the sun shined out of Maya's bridesmaid gown, she barely slept. She asked me, "Do you think Maya's acting weird?" I lied. "She's just stressed." Turns out, I was the one who should have been stressed. 3 days before the wedding, Clara had a shift at the hospital. She's an ER nurse. Long hours, but she loves the chaos. I stayed home to finish writing my vows. That afternoon, I got a text from Maya. "We need to talk. Come over." The address wasn't hers. It was a hotel. A Hilton downtown. My first mistake? I went. When I walked into that room, I told myself it was innocent. Maya probably needed help with the wedding surprise. Maybe Clara's bachelorette party went off the rails. Or maybe, just maybe, I'm an idiot. Maya opened the door wearing a silk robe that wasn't tied. "We don't have to pretend anymore," she said, leaning in like we'd been living in a rom-com instead of my literal nightmare. I backed away. "What the hell is this?" She laughed like it was a game. "You're marrying the wrong sister, Jake. You always were." I left. Fast. But it wasn't fast enough. Because Clara saw us. She was walking back from the parking garage when she spotted me coming out of that room. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just looked at me and said, "Thanks. That makes things easier." Then she walked away. I thought that was the end of it. Oh, I had no idea. 3 hours later, I was sitting in my apartment, drinking cheap whiskey out of a wedding tumbler that said, "Groom." It was supposed to be for the rehearsal dinner. Ironic, right? I called Clara 12 times. No answer. Texted, "Please talk to me. I didn't do anything." She finally replied, "You're right. You didn't do anything. That's the problem." Now, I don't cry easily. But when I read that, something cracked in me. Not because I lost her, though that part hurt like hell, but because I realized she was right. I hadn't done anything. I hadn't told Maya to back off. I hadn't set boundaries. I hadn't protected the woman I claimed to love from my vulture of a sister. But what happened next? I didn't see coming. 2 days later, the day before the wedding, I got a call from Clara's cousin, Derek. This dude was always a little off. Like if John Wick had gone into IT security instead of revenge. We'd never been close, but Clara trusted him like a big brother. He said, "Pack a suit. Clara still wants you at the church tomorrow." I was stunned. "Wait, what? She still wants to get married?" "She wants you there," Derek repeated. "Don't be late." Click. No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. Naturally, I did what any guilt-ridden idiot would do. I showed up. I mean, part of me thought maybe, just maybe, she was giving me a second chance. Maybe the wedding would still happen. Maybe this was Clara's way of forgiving me. She was big on forgiveness. But the moment I stepped into St. Mark's Cathedral, I realized this wasn't going to be a wedding. This was an execution. The church was packed. Everyone dressed to the nines. Classical music playing. Wedding programs neatly folded on every pew. At the front, the altar was decorated with white roses and silver ribbon, exactly how Clara had dreamed it. Except Clara wasn't up there. I was. Standing beside me? Maya. In a wedding dress. And behind us? A 30-foot screen that hadn't been there 5 minutes earlier. I turned to Maya, my heart doing backflips in my chest. "What the hell is this?" she whispered. "I thought you knew." Clara said it was our turn. Then the music stopped. Clara walked down the center aisle, not in a gown, but in a sleek black pantsuit that looked like it had been tailored by vengeance itself. The guests turned, jaws dropping like synchronized swimmers. She wasn't crying. She wasn't shaking. She was smiling. When she reached the front, she took the mic from Pastor Coleman and said, "Thank you all for coming. I know there's been a little change in the schedule, but don't worry, the show's about to start." Derek, sitting in the front pew with a laptop, gave her a nod. And then? The screen behind us flickered to life. It started with a montage of Maya and me, from security footage in my apartment to text message screenshots. Conversations. Flirting. Stolen kisses. The audio was painfully clear. One clip showed Maya saying, "She'll never see it coming. Jake's too spineless to break up with her, but he'll go through with it if I make it easy enough." Another, me drunk, saying, "Clara's amazing, but she doesn't make me feel the way you do." And then came the money talk. Maya, "Once we're married, we take the $23K, move to Portland, and start over. She'll be too embarrassed to fight us on it." I stood there frozen, every muscle in my body screaming to move. To leave. To evaporate. The guests were silent. Phones were already out. Someone gasped. Someone else muttered, "Oh my God." Maya? Maya tried to laugh it off. "This is obviously edited." But Clara held up a USB drive. "This copy has timestamps, metadata, and signed consent forms. Happy to share with anyone interested." My mom stood up from the second row. She looked me dead in the face. "Sit down." I sat. "And Clara?" She looked straight at us and said, "You wanted your wedding day. So here it is." Then she turned on her heel, walked out of the church, and left us standing there at the altar. 2 snakes. 1 spotlight. And a room full of people who never forget what came next. It was the longest 11 seconds of my life. Maya stood next to me in a borrowed white dress that now looked like a hazmat suit for humiliation. I stood there in a tailored tux that suddenly felt about 5 sizes too small. And 200 guests just watched us, phones up, mouths half open, expressions varying between disgust and morbid curiosity. The screen behind us went dark. Clara was gone. The woman I'd promised forever to had just handed me a one-way ticket to rock bottom in Dolby surround sound and HD clarity. And somehow, the night was only getting started. Pastor Coleman, God bless the man, cleared his throat and said, "Well, that concludes the ceremony." A pause. "Please join us in the reception hall for refreshments." Aunt Linda was the first to move, dragging Uncle Bobby by the elbow and muttering, "I knew that girl was trouble." Everyone assumed she meant Maya, but honestly it could have gone either way. Maya turned to me, her voice low and trembling with panic. "You told me Clara didn't know anything." "I thought she didn't." I hissed. How the hell was I supposed to know her cousin's a spy? "He's not a spy, he's an IT guy." She snapped, eyes darting around the room. "There's a difference." "Oh really?" "Because right now it feels like we just got Mission Impossibly wrecked in front of everyone we know." She grabbed my arm, digging her nails in. "We need to leave. Now." But we couldn't. Not without walking past every guest, every iPhone, every whisper of, "That's them, the cheaters." The reception hall was only 20 feet away, but it might as well have been a gauntlet of shame. And it was catered. Beautifully catered. The kind of catered where someone clearly loved the menu planning process. There were tiny crab cakes with aioli drizzle. Charcuterie boards that looked like Renaissance still lives. A signature cocktail called the Claretini. Maya took 1 sip of it and nearly gagged. "It's too bitter," she said. I looked at her and for the first time since this whole mess started, felt my mouth go dry with pure, unfiltered realization. I didn't even like her. Maya wasn't sweet or funny or loyal. She was a dopamine slot machine, pull the handle, get a hit of chaos. Clara had been my anchor, my sanity. Maya was glitter in a hurricane. Shiny. Loud. And everywhere you didn't want it to be. At our table, yes, the bride and groom table, which Clara had left perfectly set for us like some kind of psychological warfare, sat 2 name cards in gold calligraphy, Jake and Maya. The cake sat off to the side, 3 tiers, raspberry vanilla, with little edible pearls. I reached for a slice. Maya slapped my hand. You're seriously eating cake right now? What else am I supposed to do? Crawl into the centerpiece? She sighed dramatically and turned to look for an exit. That's when Clara's cousin Derek appeared, camera still rolling, smile plastered across his face like he was auditioning for the FBI's most satisfying surveillance team. Calendar. Smile for the live stream, he said cheerfully. You two are trending on 6 platforms. Maya spun to face him. You can't just film us without our permission. Actually, Derek said, holding up what looked like a signed document. This is Jake's lease agreement. See Clause 14. Surveillance permitted in common areas for security purposes. You boned each other in plain view of 2 mounted cameras. Congratulations. That's Exhibit A through G. She turned to me, eyes wide. You knew about the cameras? No. Why would I know? I didn't put them there. Well, maybe you should have read your lease. I was busy trying to build a life, Maya. Oh, please. You were busy letting me do all the scheming and then pretending to feel bad. I blinked. Wait. Are you mad at me right now? And just like that, boom, another fight. Right there in front of the shrimp tower. We were the entertainment now. Guests were literally pulling up chairs to watch. Someone popped popcorn. Popcorn. Meanwhile, Clara? Clara was gone. Vanished. No grand exit. No mic drop. She'd simply exposed the truth and left, and in doing so, became the most talked about woman in 3 counties. But she wasn't done with us. Not by a long shot. Because right after we finally escaped the venue, humiliated, exhausted, and trailing a cloud of social shame behind us like a wedding veil, Maya got a notification. Her job had fired her. Effective immediately. Apparently, moral clauses are still a thing at high-end law firms. And mine? My dream of opening a restaurant? The investors saw the video too. The next morning, every single one of them pulled out. $150,000. Gone. Like confetti at the world's worst reception. We moved into a Motel 6 the next day. No joke. The place smelled like wet carpet and regret. The bathroom light flickered like it was auditioning for a horror movie. Maya spent the first 2 hours on her cracked iPhone trying to scrub the internet of every trace of the Richardson wedding massacre, as Reddit had dubbed it. Spoiler, she failed. The video had gone viral. Viral. Like, Good Morning America. Viral. Someone had stitched it with dramatic classical music and labeled it Karma in 3 acts. My name was trending on TikTok under #WaffleJake. Why waffle? Because apparently I folded faster than a gas station pancake. I'd become a meme. There was even fan fiction. Clara? She disappeared. No social media. No statements. No public revenge tour. Which only made the internet love her more. She's so classy, people wrote. She didn't scream or throw punches. She just exposed the truth and let the consequences do the talking. Maya, on the other hand, was persona non grata. Her employer had fired her within hours of the footage dropping. Their press release was brutal. We uphold integrity. Ms. Richardson does not. Every job interview since has been a disaster. The moment people Google her, the interview ends. She even tried using a fake name, Mia Richards, but her voice gave her away. That sultry condescending tone? You can't fake that. As for me? The restaurant investors ghosted. I went from head chef in a planned bistro to dishwasher at a sports bar in Tacoma. Yeah. Tacoma. We couldn't stay in Portland. Too many people recognized us. So we bounced around for a while, Vegas, Boise, Sacramento, until the money ran out and the shame caught up. Everywhere we went, someone would pull out their phone, whisper, "Is that them?" and start filming. A year later, we ended up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, of all places. Maya took a job as a gas station cashier. I worked graveyard shift at a truck stop diner, flipping greasy burgers and dodging questions from curious truckers who'd seen the video. You know what's worse than being hated online? Being pitted. People used to call us monsters. Now they just call us sad. We got married that day in front of 200 people and millions online. We're still married. Not by choice, but because neither of us can afford a divorce lawyer. Clara? Well, Clara's thriving. She started a consulting business using the money we tried to steal. Hospitals hire her to fix broken systems. Irony, right? She's engaged now. To Derek. Yeah. That Derek. The cousin with the cameras and the courtroom-grade receipts. Apparently, all that scheming turned into bonding, and all that bonding turned into something real. They're getting married next spring. The original wedding vendors are offering their services for free. Even the cake lady said, "This time, I want to make something sweet enough to erase the bitter taste of last year." Clara sent out save-the-dates last week. I got one in the mail. The envelope had gold calligraphy. Inside was a single note. "Hope you'll be watching. I made sure to tag you." Maya tore the invite in half before I could even finish reading it. "I can't believe she has the audacity," she snapped, flinging the pieces into the sink like they might clog our dignity on the way down. "Tagging us? She wants to humiliate us again." "Maya," I said quietly, wiping ketchup off my shirt from another 12-hour shift at the diner. "I think that ship sailed, exploded, and got turned into a Netflix documentary." She whirled on me. "Why are you always defending her?" I blinked at her. "Always." "Maya, the last time I defended you, I ended up married to you." She didn't speak after that. Just stormed into the bedroom of our 2-room rental over the gas station where she worked. Slammed the door. Loud enough to rattle the half-hinged cabinet holding our wedding china, which consisted of 2 chipped mugs that said, "Bridezilla," and "Future Ex-Husband." I sat back in the torn recliner we got from a garage sale, staring at the mute TV where a rerun of Judge Judy was playing. There was something poetic about that. Every few days I'd check my phone, pretending I wasn't still keeping tabs on Clara's life. Her Instagram was public now, probably because she knew it would torture us. She never posted anything cruel. No jabs. No smug captions. Just pure glow-up. Her business was thriving. She'd been interviewed by Forbes Health about modernizing hospital care. Had photos with medical CEOs, charity events, speeches. And Derek was always right beside her. One post showed the two of them at a vineyard. Clara in a red dress. Derek pouring wine. The caption said, "Found someone who makes life taste better." The comment section was a minefield of people cheering them on. Power couple energy. This is what healing looks like. Karma served cold, aged like fine wine. Meanwhile, Maya's biggest accomplishment this month was not getting written up for vaping in the gas station cooler. You'd think being humiliated in front of the entire internet would change a person. Nope. Maya just got meaner. Every time a customer came in wearing anything expensive, she'd mutter, "Daddy's money," under her breath. Every time a wedding commercial came on, she'd scoff. Fake smiles. "They'll cheat in 6 months. And me?" I just got tired. Tired of pretending this was normal. Tired of living in the shadow of a life I helped destroy. One night, after closing the diner, I drove 3 miles out of town and parked behind an empty feed store. I sat in the dark, engine running, hands gripping the steering wheel like I was waiting for the universe to tell me what now. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I called my mom. She picked up on the second ring. "Jake?" "Yeah," I said. "It's me." She didn't say "I told you so." Didn't lecture. Just exhaled and said, "How bad is it?" "Bad." We sat in silence for a long time. Then she asked, "What do you want, honey?" "I want a divorce." She let out a breath like she'd been holding it for a year. "Good. Now let's figure out how to make that happen." Mom wired me $800 the next morning. "Call it your freedom fund," she said. "And Jake? No more women who wear lipstick like a weapon, okay?" I didn't laugh. But I smiled. A little. The divorce lawyer I found in Cheyenne operated out of a strip mall between a vape shop and a payday loan place. He wore Crocs and a neck brace and offered me coffee that tasted like despair. But he knew what he was doing. "Uncontested divorce," he said, tapping away on his ancient Dell. "No kids, no assets, no prenup. Should be smooth as ranch dressing." I asked him not to contact Maya until I'd moved out. I didn't want a fight. I wanted a clean exit, no flying picture frames or screaming in parking lots. I packed while she was at work, 2 duffel bags, 1 backpack, a shoebox full of regrets. I left the wedding ring on the coffee table. No note. No dramatic speech. Just done. I crashed on a friend's couch in Casper for a while. Got a job at a food truck. Started saving. For months, I avoided the internet. I didn't want to know what Clara was doing. I told myself it was because I needed to focus on me, but the truth? I couldn't handle seeing her happy without me. Until one night, when I finally looked. It was the week of her wedding. Hashtag Uriah love. Her smile in the photo stopped my heart. Not because I missed her, but because she looked free. Like someone who had walked through fire and come out wearing armor made of her own spine. The caption read, "Getting married next weekend to someone who chose me first." And every day after. That was the day it finally clicked. I never chose Clara. Not fully. Not when it counted. I let Maya take the wheel. I stood by while lines blurred, thinking I could have both the drama and the devotion. I couldn't. And I didn't deserve to. So on the day Clara married Derek, in a garden blooming with white roses and quiet revenge, I stood at a park bench in a town where no one knew my name, eating street tacos, trying not to cry. And for once, not because I'd lost something, but because someone else had found exactly what they deserved. 6 months after Clara's wedding, I finally stopped waking up with her name in my throat. I was living in Denver by then. Nothing fancy. Just a studio above a laundromat that smelled like lavender and heat. But it was mine. Paid for by tips from the sandwich shop where I now worked as headline cook. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest. No stolen dreams. No silk robes. Just bread, meat, heat, and a small team who respected me because I showed up and did the damn work. One Thursday afternoon, as I was finishing a tray of BLTs for a catering order, I saw a familiar face on the TV mounted in the corner of the shop. Clara. She was being interviewed on the local news. Not about the wedding, not anymore. That story had faded, replaced by a newer viral scandal involving a proposal and a goat, don't ask. No, Clara was on TV for her business. Her consulting firm had just landed a national contract with a chain of hospitals. They were rolling out patient advocacy programs based on the systems she'd designed. She looked like someone who slept well. Her wedding ring glittered as she gestured passionately, explaining how dignity and data could coexist in medicine. Derek was off to the side, holding her bag, beaming like a man who knew exactly how lucky he was. I didn't feel jealous. I felt relieved. Because for once, I hadn't ruined something forever. Someone had rebuilt the wreckage into something stronger. That night, I wrote Clara a letter. Not to send. Just to write. Dear Clara. You were never too boring. You were never less. You were the lighthouse. I just wanted to play in the storm. I let Maya sink us both. And then I made it worse by standing there, silent, while she smiled for the camera. But you didn't just survive. You won. I'm proud of you. Genuinely. Deeply. I hope your life is full of love, soft mornings, and people who speak your name with respect. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just saying thank you. For the lesson. For the fire. For the grace. Jake. I folded the letter and burned it in a coffee tin behind the sandwich shop. Watched the flames eat my apology, one curl at a time. And I swear, just for a moment, I felt something loosen in my chest. Maya? I haven't seen her in over a year. Last I heard, she moved to Florida and started dating a guy who sells timeshares and calls himself an entrepreneur. She'll probably find another train to jump on. She always does. But me? I'm good. Really. I've started writing again. Something Clara always encouraged. My story's not viral. It's not cinematic. But it's real. And sometimes, real is enough. Especially when you finally understand the kind of love that doesn't need a performance. Just presence. The next time I fall in love, it won't be with drama. It'll be with someone who doesn't need a spotlight, because they already shine from within. And when that day comes, I won't flinch. I'll choose them first. Every time.